Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very impromptu live stream here on the Transport Evolved channel. I'm going to give you my thoughts after the Tesla Semi event. I am here in my kitchen because it is nearly 6 p.m. in the evening, and so I am cooking the evening meal. But I wanted to let you all know some of my thoughts of the Tesla Semi event, which has just finished. Tesla streamed it live on Twitter, also streamed it on YouTube. And I figured, given some of the feedback that we've had in the last week or so of some of our coverage of Tesla, I figured it would be good to have a live stream where I talk to you, no script, no anything, about my thoughts about the event. I do apologize if this is slightly echoey. I also apologize if there's loud bangs in the background. There is a dog running around playing with a toy as live TV, live YouTube, that is what happens. So let's talk about the event and let's talk about some of my initial opinions of it. And I'm very pleased to note that Tesla kept it very simple, very perfunctory in some ways, and covered a lot of the technical aspects of the Tesla Semi. So we learned, for example, that the Tesla Semi has an efficiency of 1 mile for every 2 kilowatt hours of battery power. That is an incredibly efficient drivetrain for a truck that has 82,000 pounds of rated Class 8 action. Now, obviously, that 82,000 pounds is slightly larger than your average Class 8 big rig. That is because the Tesla Semi is a battery pack. The battery pack is 1,000 volts. Tesla actually said that it was the first vehicle to have a 1,000 volt battery pack. At least I thought that's what I heard. Unfortunately, my connection is unstable. Please wait while we try reconnecting. Let's hope that this is done via Elon Musk and Starlink. Let's blame Starlink for that one. We have an internet connection here that goes up via Starlink and via a local network. And I, mea culpa, forgot to turn off the Starlink because the Starlink is intermittent. I do apologize for that. So where was I? Right. Okay. So the battery pack on the my audio is cutting out. I do apologize for this. Let me see if I can fix that. I don't know why it's cutting out. I do apologize. I can't use the studio setup right now because the studio setup is doing some other things right now. Okay, the audio is fine. So I thought it was just me. I do apologize. We are in the kitchen. I am cooking my evening meal, so this is not going to be a perfect stream. I also know that there's not enough time in 10 for me to cover this in detail and in depth. So know that this is a live stream. It's not going to be as well produced as our in-studio stuff. I am not in the studio. This is my kitchen. So there you are. Right, so it was their first 1,000 volt system, says Peter. That sounds good. I'm willing to do that. So 1,000 volts, huge amount of high voltage. Obviously, high voltage means that you have less requirement to have big fat cables. So for a given power, the higher the voltage, the lower the current. So that means that the current is lower for a given power output. And I suspect that's why Tesla went with a 1,000 volt battery pack. We also learned there is a new V4 super mega charge. Tesla says that because of this, it can use a smaller cable because it liquid cools the cable in a different way. Again, that is a benefit there for Tesla. So the cable is smaller. And that means it's going to be easier to handle. By the way, thank you, Adrian. Very kind of you, very appreciative. If anybody else wants to use the super chat or the super thanks feature, please go ahead and do it. We have actually dropped our Patreon support due to economic situations, mostly by about 20% connector in the event. We will try and reconnect. Let me see if I can actually, please give me a second. I'm going to try and see if I can just tweak some things here so that we have a better internet connection for everybody. I do apologize. I know that there are some connection issues here. So if you just bear with me, I'm going to go ahead and log in through my phone and try and rectify that particular problem. I hoped that it wouldn't be an issue. It does look like it's going to be, and I know that's going to upset some people. But I wanted to try and use the Starlink connection for this, but obviously it's not going to work. So please bear with me. Right, so this new connection, we didn't see the new connector style. And as Bean Apprentice says, I'm sad they didn't give us a Roadster update. It was a Tesla Semi event. So I'm there. Let me just log in. About 30 seconds and I'll be able to fix that for you. So we learned that the new supercharger, mega charger connector, the cable is smaller. We also learned there is going to be a better situation for Tesla Semi than I think a lot of people had thought in terms of the size of that cable. But we also learned that the Tesla Cybertruck will use that same connector. That mega go out and get back in to the channel. It should fix the audio. Me or everybody else? The Tesla Semi and the Tesla Cybertruck will share the same charge connector, and that's big news. That's something that we hadn't learned before, and it is something that I think will make it for a very interesting future setup for Tesla Semi owners and also for Tesla Cybertruck owners. It does look as if you will need to go to a Tesla mega charger, maybe if you have a Tesla Cybertruck and you want the fastest charging rate. That's very interesting. We didn't know that before. It was something that we haven't heard prior to this event. Also, really interesting about the event, other than the efficiency, other than the battery pack and the mega charger setup, is of course the drivetrain. The drivetrain for the Tesla Semi, we've now been told, is the same as the drivetrain for the Plaid Model S and Model X, which is interesting. I think by that what Tesla actually means is it will have the same physical motors. Now, I have two thoughts about that. One, that's a lot of strain and a lot of power demanded of that motor constantly. Also, I'd love to see some analysis of the actual power drain and how hot the motor is going to get for continuous use. It also means that obviously Tesla will have reduced manufacturing costs. So plus for Tesla there. But the negative obviously is I don't know how that engineering is going to work out. Maybe someone can help me understand that. How will this affect Cybertruck home charging? I don't know. I assume that Cybertruck will be capable of charging at home at the same place. I don't know why the sound is giving you grief. You should be able to hear me. Please log out and log back in again. Hopefully we can fix this problem. You can hear sound. I apologize. Some of you appear to be able to hear sound and some of you are struggling with sound. I will double check that my sound is working here. I have, let me double check that it is in fact working for me. Yep, I've got audio here. So I apologize. It's something weird between here and wherever you are watching. I apologize. YouTube has been really doing weird things lately, and I don't have any control how YouTube pushes out the stream. So the motors. I want to talk about these motors. There's 2 motors up front that are going to be used for accelerating the truck to give it that extra torque it needs to get moving. And those motors are going to be automatically detached from the drivetrain using automatic clutching, so that when the truck is moving under speed, those motors are not active. Now, there's some benefits to that. By disconnecting those 2 front motors, it means that the truck is going to be far more efficient. And that's how Tesla has achieved that really thoroughly impressive 2 kilowatt hours per mile. We also now know pretty categorically that the battery pack on the Tesla Cybertruck is going to be 1 megawatt hour. That is insanely big. 1 megawatt hour equates to 500-mile range and 2 kilowatt hours per mile. So that is that's very impressive. Someone said it's 2 in the rear and 1 in the front. Yeah, the one motor I didn't see. We had some connection issues, but 2 motors to help it going, and then 1 motor to keep it moving. I'm not sure which way round it is. I will confirm that before 10 on Friday or Saturday. We obviously we make 10 on a Friday and push it out on a Saturday. 2 kilowatt hours per mile, I believe, fully loaded. I might be wrong, but those are the figures that Tesla gave us. Tesla talked about this trip that was made. It was an interesting trip. So Tesla made a trip from the Bay Area down to San Diego, which of course means south down the I-5, past LA, down the Grapevine rather than up, and down to San Diego. That is a pretty long drive by anyone's sort of measure. And that is about a day's worth of driving for a big rig driver. And the battery did not need to be recharged. There was a mandatory break there in the middle for restroom break that's mandated by law. But yes, someone else has confirmed 2 kilowatt hours per mile fully loaded. Now, so those motors, the 2 motors that provide acceleration can be detached from the drivetrain. And this is important. By detaching those motors from the drivetrain, you reduce wear and tear on the motors, you reduce drag on the drivetrain, and you make it more, you make it easier for that other single motor to push the truck along. So by reducing that drag is going to be a huge energy suck. Something that I know, I mean, there's no efficiency gains that I can make on my personal truck because the motors don't disengage. They are constantly engaged. It doesn't matter whether I'm driving on the freeway. It doesn't matter if I'm driving low speed up on a rural road up to my house. Those motors are constantly engaged. And being able to detach motors is something that's been proven time and time again in the EV world to be a great way of adding efficiency. It's something Kia does in the EV6 with the dual motor versions of the EV6. It's something that its sister company Genesis does. It's something that Hyundai does. It's something that other automakers do, detaching those motors to enable a more efficient driving experience for the owner. And that really dramatically improves overall efficiency. Yes, it does add some extra complexity to the drivetrain because you're adding that clutch, but it does make things so much better. I'm very happy to report that the event was very low on hyperbole. There wasn't a lot of what you've come to expect from Tesla events in the past. Elon seemed a little more reserved than he has in the past, and I actually welcome that. He kind of brought the energy down, kept it very businesslike, talked about what the truck has done, the economies of scale that Tesla has been able to leverage, things like the fact, the infotainment system is the same, the heat pump is the same that it's used in cars, the battery pack design, the charger design, they're all evolutionary rather than revolutionary from a Tesla standpoint, but from a big rig point of view, yeah, definitely have the potential to be revolutionary there. Interestingly, though, there wasn't really any kind of discussion of the industry as a whole beyond beyond Tesla. So no obvious mention of any of the other companies that are coming out. And while Tesla didn't explicitly say, this is going to be something that's going to change the industry, there was definitely, this is going to be the best truck on the road and everyone should go out and buy it. Any chance you are recording this and can be made available online? Sadly not. I'm doing this in my kitchen. I do apologize. I wanted to do this because, as you can see, this is my supper on the stove right there in the corner. I run a business. I also have a home life, and I wanted to push out my thoughts. I do apologize if this stream is poor quality. The computer upstairs that I would normally stream on is currently rendering out the BMW iX and extra noise cancellation and other stuff that's been going on. So you're storing a battery energy, you're storing electrical energy in electrochemical form, and then you're sending it to the power converters and to the controller circuits, and then from there to the motor. I do apologize. Ghost, please stop. Will Tesla semi trucks save money for its customers and more time for the drivers and manufacturers bought Tesla semi? I think one of the things, if you'll save time and money as a Tesla semi owner, but I think it was couched a little bit as you will save money as a Tesla semi owner, but obviously the same is true for any electric big rig driver. Ghost, come here, please. I have a border collie who is very much an attention grabber, and he likes to make the loudest noise when he thinks I'm doing something and I should be playing with him. Please excuse me. This is mine now. Anyway, sorry, as I was saying. So yeah, also Elon was saying, this is a great thing. We're going to have mega batteries to support battery packs. Sorry, let me say that again. We're going to have a lot of big energy storage projects to help store the energies as well. Talked about the importance of solar and wind as well as nuclear. Those who watch me know that I am somebody who is not a big fan of nuclear energy. Yes, we are using Starlink to upload. This is the big challenge, and those who watch the channel will know that I have both Starlink and a home internet connection. Sorry, I have Starlink, which is my home internet connection, and my office runs off a more reliable internet connection. I'm sorry, we're going over the Starlink right now. I do apologize. So there you have it. I apologize for the terrible connection. I know that's going to upset some people, and people are going to make negative comments about it. I'm sorry. That is all I can say. I will try and put my thoughts together in a more cogent form in the near future. But I wanted to make sure that we push this out tonight. Is there another semi-EV competitor? Yes, there are plenty of big rig electric semis that are coming to or are already on the market. So Daimler Trucks North America does the Pacifica? No, it's not called the Pacifica. I can never remember the name of it. They do a Class 8 electric big rig. Obviously, Toyota does the hydrogen fuel cell big rig, so it's not really a direct competitor to the Tesla Semi because it's not battery electric, it's hydrogen fuel cell electric. Volvo is producing a range of electric trucks, both here in North America, but also in Europe. And there are a range, Cascadia, thank you. I was trying to think of the name of it there. It's called the Cascadia, the Daimler North America trucks. It's the e-Cascadia. It's an electric Class 8 big rig, already in production. Volvo already makes electric big rigs, as I said, for North America and Europe. Over in Europe, Mercedes-Benz Trucks, which is a separate division to Daimler Trucks North America, they are producing a range of electric big rigs. Obviously, here in the States, we also have, believe it or not, Nikola Motors is producing electric. They are producing electric trucks. The Nikola Tre is a kind of a drayage style cab over that's being produced right now. The truck is still doing very well. We also have the Freightliners. Yes, the Freightliner is the one I was talking about, the e-Cascadia. We also have, let me see, someone asked if International Trucks are producing electric big rigs. They are. They've got a few on the road right now. They are pushing forward to make more. Basically, every truck company you can name is doing something in the battery electric world. And if you like comparison report, we'll try and do it. Obviously, big rigs is not our primary focus, but it is very important for transportation moving forwards. I'm very glad that we kept the Elon. I'm glad we kept the Elon drama out of tonight's event, which was very interesting. Is the Border Collie doing any construction, and what does he want to do carpentry per hour? Yeah, he's making lots of noise. In fact, he came and took the toy that I had took off him, and he's now playing with it again. So I do apologize. I'm also waiting for some potatoes to boil. All right. People are arguing semantics about the concept of electrochemical energy versus other things. I don't want to go into that right now. Is Tesla Semi only available for bulk orders and companies that haul products? Right now, a lot of the Tesla Semi orders are fleet operators, big companies like Frito-Lay, PepsiCo. I mean, Frito-Lay is owned by PepsiCo, so same thing. I believe Walmart has placed a big order. It's going to take a while for those trucks to be made. One thing that I didn't hear mentioned, and again, please correct me if I am wrong. One of the things that wasn't mentioned this evening was kind of the volumes that are going to be produced right now. And that is, I suspect it's going to take a while for productions to be ramped up in that regard. I also should probably know Exos is working on a Class 8 big rig. It's launched yet, but it was announced earlier this year. Exos obviously has Class 5 through 6 electric delivery vehicles on the road. They are working on an electric big rig. There are some other smaller volume companies like Exos that are also working on electric big rigs. So in terms of Tesla Semi and companies, some of the big fleet lease companies. So if you are an owner operator, you either own your truck and you bought it outright, or you lease it from a specialist leasing company, even though it's your truck. Those companies are also, some of those companies are also coming on board, and they've already got orders for Tesla Semis. And so if you are an owner operator, there is definitely a possibility that you will be able to get into one of those trucks if you are willing to work with one of the big finance companies and mobility companies that work in the haulage industry. All right, let me see if I can go through. What about the mega charger for the new Cybertruck? Yeah. I mean, the mega charger will be used on the Cybertruck, but I don't know any more than what was said in the message there. I'm sorry to hear that, Truex. How long for smaller firms to get Tesla trucks, given the big outfits, the lowest cost trucks makes it even harder for entrepreneurs to compete. You are totally right, Mo. One of the good things is that pretty much, as I said, every major, Peterbilt, all of those companies, they're all in the process of bringing electric big rigs to market. I can't remember if Peterbilt is doing the hydrogen or the battery electric, but there are two truck companies that are kind of cheek by jowl. It's Peterbilt, and I can't remember the name of the other one. They are effectively sibling companies. One is doing a battery and one is doing a hydrogen vehicle. Obviously, Daimler Trucks North America, Volvo, as all of those other companies I mentioned, international. So some of the other truck companies they're all working on. At least one YouTube channel has a Tesla Semi on order. Well, I can tell you it's not this one. We don't make enough. My daughter asked me to ask what's on your jumper. It's a Transport Evolved Christmas hoodie. It's available if you go to the Transport Evolved store. There are links. There won't be links in the video description right now, but if you go to our store.transportevolved.com, I think, this should be in the store. It's a charging station plugged into a Christmas tree, and there are different EVs on it, including there's a Chevrolet Bolt, a Think City. I think there's a Tesla on there as well. So it's a Christmas one. So we can't see Tesla Semi review on YouTube. No, not unless someone wants to help me grow the channel to the point that we can afford one. I can tell you that we don't make a lot of money every year. I only pay myself when we have some extra cash, and I haven't paid myself for the last couple of months. 500 miles at minus 30 degrees in the winter is unlikely. Wonder what the range would be without a trailer. Now, I don't know. And yes, EVs do lose their range in the winter, as any vehicle will. I think we're probably going to see about 380 to 400 miles in the winter. One of the things that wasn't discussed is in the presentation, again, it was mentioned that you can drive up pretty much any incline with a Tesla Semi and still accelerate because of all that power on board. But of course, if you do that all the time, you're not going to get 500 miles per charge. The 500 miles full load over real loads was from the Bay Area down to San Diego. And there were some hills in that. If you know that route, there's some pretty big hills as you're coming into LA, kind of come out of the, I call it the flat, boring bit between San Francisco and Los Angeles, that really long straight stretch of I-5 that kind of goes up and up and up and up and then comes down through the Grapevine. That is a very gradual incline. I would be very interested to see how it does on some other routes, such as going through Colorado. Utah through to Colorado. I would love to see that. That is probably one of the toughest big rig sections, I would say, in North America, in the lower 48, certainly. Once you get to Denver and you're heading east, it's such a gradual incline. Well, it's downhill that way, but if you're coming the other way, so if you're coming from the eastern states through the Midwest and towards Colorado, that is a very gradual incline. So I'm assuming that you do really well on that particular stretch of road. I can't remember the interstate number. I've driven it several times. Full 8 hours of drive will be posted. Thank you, Dan, for remembering. Tesla says it will post a real-time 8-hour video on its YouTube channel of that particular drive, so people can see it in operations. Going down Parley's Cannon, Park City, Utah would be a good test. Smelled many a burned brake. I don't know that particular name. I may have driven that road. Obviously, the other one is coming out of the Dales in Oregon, or going up out of the gorge up onto the high part of eastern Oregon. That would be kind of fun as well. So there you go. That is everything that happened. I hope that if you are watching this live stream, you will see that I'm not being nasty about Tesla or Elon Musk. It really kind of grinds our gears when people accuse us of hating Tesla and Elon Musk, because we don't. We just want to try and be as fair as we possibly can be about a company. And sometimes, the video we made earlier this week about a lot of things that people will say all of that stuff because it's the internet. And some of the stuff, I mean, just to give you an example, so we had an email this week from a PR agency. We had an email this week from a PR agency, and they wanted us to do a video about the most searched EV online, or the most affordable EV online. They told me in this email, and like I say, we ignore all pictures because we're not interested in that kind of stuff. We are not in anybody's pocket. We will tell you the world, and we are journalists, and we will give you our opinion and facts that led us to that conclusion. So someone pitched to us earlier today, and they said the most affordable electric car in North America right now is the Mini Cooper SE. And I'm like, I actually responded to the email with this. Let's see if I can pick up the email, if my phone wants to work. I said something along the lines of, if you're going to pitch an idea to us, at least get your facts right. Not that we ever follow through with those, but that is kind of so us saying earlier this week, these are the things that people will be saying about the Tesla Semi and where it's right and where it's wrong. It wasn't us attacking Tesla. It was us attacking all of the misinformation that we know will happen as a consequence of this live streamed event earlier. We were trying to kind of head it off at the past. Maybe that wasn't a good idea. But yeah, I've already heard people say stuff about the Tesla Semi, and I'm like, it's very good, but, and that's kind of where I came in there. All right, Tesla is only going to keep improving range, reliability, and safety. The rest of the manufacturers have a moving target. Truckers and their customers will win in the long run. Yeah, I want everyone to make electric big rigs. I don't know if Tesla's going to be the best in the long run. I think it's very stupid and premature for us to go, this is the best forever. It might be right now. It might not be in the future. There might be benefits to not having a central driving position, as someone commented in the video comments. It might be that other vehicles have other benefits to that. I just know that many people won't have access to that Semi. Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's going to be big corporate customers for now, because that's going to be what's going to help Tesla in the long run, in its pocketbook, its balance sheet. If it can deliver to big companies who are willing to sink a lot of money. I mean, the Tesla Semi is not going to be cheap, especially if it does 1 megawatt-hour battery pack, which is, based on my calculations, is what it will have. Be interesting to see. It will be very interesting to see long term. But I think it was generally a very positive thing. It's not just money; it's about having service right there for them as bugs show up. Yeah, Dan, you're totally right. A lot of these big rig companies, they already have a big network. I think it's fair to say that we're never going to see a Tesla Semi on the Dalton. Well, we may not see it for the next 5 years, maybe 10, but it's not going to happen like next week. We're not going to see them taking over the Dalton. We're not going to suddenly see them taking over a lot of the big routes across the Midwest, because the sales and service isn't there yet. And working on a big rig is a very different proposition to working on a car. So it's not going to be the difference between going from a gasoline vehicle to an electric car. It will be the difference for the Tesla engineers to go from a car to a big rig. And that's a very different jump, I would suggest. And a lot of safety systems that are mandated in trucks that are not mandated in cars, that they'll have to deal with and cope with. The big companies will give good statistics feedback. And I think that's the thing to point out. These are vehicles that are going to be used by big corporations initially. They will have the money and the wherewithal to support those vehicles, to install the mega chargers, to make sure that they've got their train mechanics on. It was a Class 7 I drove. It was a fixed body Class 7. It was a great experience. And for me, as somebody who hasn't driven a lot of big vehicles, although I've driven tractors, I grew up on a farm. So I've driven big vehicles before. I've driven big trailers before. I've driven like a 40 or 50-foot trailer off the road, not on the road, I hasten to add. But it's a very different type of driving experience when you're having to deal with a gearbox and changing gears and doing all of that versus driving an electric. That's something else that was highlighted in the video. It was a very interesting presentation and a very interesting experience. And I hope that you all watching feel the same way. I do apologize again for the terrible internet connection. We can blame that on Starlink because we do have a Starlink connection, and this will be defaulting to the Starlink connection rather than the other one because I have a setup so that my computers, we have a Ubiquiti system, and we have the latest firmware for Ubiquiti, which allows us to prioritize traffic depending on where it's coming from and where it's going to. That's great. And my work machine upstairs and the work machines upstairs are all set up to go over the wished farm equipment like tractors and combines would start coming out as EVs. They already are. There's a couple of companies that are producing electric tractors, which is great. So I think that is happening. We're seeing some great changes. And one of the things that we want to do as a YouTube channel is to focus on the evolving world of cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter transport. And I hope that those of you watching this will realize that Tesla is just one of many different companies that is succeeding in bringing this together. So I'm very excited. But there we have it. That is the situation. Please know that there are multiple different electric big rigs coming out, so don't feel disheartened if you can't get one of the Tesla semis. There are lots of different options here, and there are lots of I think the competition is heating up, and I think Tesla is doing a great job in igniting that competition. And I think that that is a good thing for everybody. So I am very excited to see. As you know, we're not going to get access to a Tesla Semi anytime soon, if ever. But it is at least very good to see that this is the way that it is going. We do have a video coming on Tesla, just as a warning. It's going to drop on Monday. Some of you would have seen the video come out. I think about 30 of you actually started to watch the video before you realized that we had a problem with the video. It's one that Kate made. It was due to go out on Sunday for patron supporters and Monday for everybody else. And she sent an email to patron supporters and people started watching it. It has been removed. It will be going live on Sunday, and then it will be going live from there. And, you know, there are plenty of cool companies out there who've been working to do cool things in their own ways. And I think it's important that we highlight all of them, because there are some really cool companies out there doing really cool stuff. Love it when you're not political. Okay. So it's really difficult, right, for someone in my position to not comment on things that make my life difficult. And politics covers everything, right? Politics is part of life. Life is political, and therefore it's very difficult for us to provide commentary without noting political changes. You will note very rarely do we say this person is a bad person because to walk. I think that we have to call a spade a spade. Right now, this live stream was praising the cool stuff that we saw from the Tesla Semi event. Does that mean I think that Elon Musk is a pleasant person right now? Some of the stuff he's been doing lately has told me that no, he is not. And there are things that he is he is working on and he is supporting that are particularly vile and abhorrent. That is my personal opinion. But I can still say the company was doing good things. I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand. The purpose of Transport Evolved is not to be found one person. It's not to suck up to car companies or people. It's to tell you the situation as it is on the ground, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we are one of the few channels that will talk about the ugly. We will talk about the racism issues that have been happening at some Tesla factories, and we will discuss it when it happens at other places too. It is a very difficult line that we tread as a company, and I think a lot of people confuse us calling out the BS that we see as us trying to put someone down or trying to be mean and horrible. No, we're just telling you the truth. And I know that the video that we the truth as we see it. I know that the video that we did the other day, a lot of people call a spade seems like a racist phrase to me. Okay, I will take that on board. Let me rephrase it. If someone is being a dick, I will say they're being a dick. And I think it's important in society that we don't give a carte blanche to people for doing bad things because they've done good things elsewhere. And so the whole Tesla Twitter thing at the moment is causing a lot of kerfuffle. We have personally left Twitter. We are moving to Mastodon. We have moved to Mastodon because we don't think it is appropriate for us to be on a platform that is operated and owned by someone we have to cover. That's a conflict of interest, right? No problem with Dick. Okay, telling someone when we're going to talk about when someone is a dick, we'll tell them that they are a dick. Let's be happy for less emissions, absolutely. But that doesn't mean that we can't hold people to a higher standard. And that is something that we try and do. I hope it's something that you guys do to us. When we screw up, you like hold us to that standard. You know, if I grew up in rural East Anglia in the UK, my parents didn't have a car. My mum hates cars. We got rid of a car when I was, I think, 3 or 4. Because my dad, we couldn't afford it. I grew up on a very low-income family, let's put it like that. And, you know, my parents taught me the importance of self-sufficiency, of self-reliance, of taking the train and public transport when we wanted to go there. If I wanted to go to a friend's house or I wanted to go and do something, I was involved in the transportation planning. Could I get there on the train? Was there some other way I could get there? Did I have someone who was going to give me a lift? Those are all important questions for me growing up. And when we moved and I lived closer to a major city, I became a keen cyclist and I used to cycle everywhere and walk everywhere and rely on buses. We had buses when we moved. And so I grew up relying on public transit, and Transport Evolved is never about supporting, as I say, one world where we try and be inclusive and equitable. We ignore behavior of company CEOs or particular people in the industry who are engaging in behavior that marginalizes people. That's not cool. And so we have to call a dick to keep John happy. Tesla is doing some cool stuff. Tesla is not doing cool stuff all across the board. It's doing some cool stuff, but it's also screwing some stuff up, just like Ford, just like GM, just like some of these other companies. So a lot of people accuse us, like someone got upset recently that we were being down on GM. No, we just we call back to things that GM has done and hope that they don't do it again. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are bad. Um, someone says Musk is Musk, has admired what he has done, and also he is a dick. Yeah, maybe that's the way of doing it. Mark says, quit being sexist with the dick stuff. Okay. How about when we talk about someone being unpleasant, we say that they're being unpleasant. How about that? I think we can agree. James, if you don't like talking about if you don't like talking about equity and marginalized communities, you are at liberty to go and watch something else. That is how this works. I find it very interesting that everybody is very keen for things to be a particular way until somebody else who is exercising their freedom of speech talks about things that they don't necessarily want to talk about, and that is very interesting. Ford banned a bunch of Ford Pass accidents recently. Accounts, yeah, interesting. I didn't know about that. I will. If you don't like Musk, you're at liberty to talk about other things. Yeah, absolutely. As a person, personally, me, Nikki, not the company, me, the company, I find some of Elon's behavior of late to be concerning. I met Elon Musk back in 2006, or maybe it was 2007, when I first met Elon Musk. The first conversation I ever had with him, I asked him about supercapacitors, and he waxed lyrical about supercapacitors for some time. And I thought that was cool. Actually, it wasn't 2007. It was later than that. It would have been 2008, maybe. I'm old, so dates get, a bit screwed up. But the first time I met him, it was in reference to the Roadster, and I asked him about supercapacitors, and he was very pleasant, and he waxed lyrical, and his eyes got a little bit glassed over because I was asking him about something he was very interested in, and he told me why supercapacitors were a really bad idea. And it was very cogent, and it was a very respectful conversation, and it was very cool. But of late, I think he has been influenced by people who are not doing good things for him. How about that? Does that make sense? I can still admire that he helped, Tesla get to where it is today. I can still admire what he has done historically, but that doesn't mean that I don't get to say that some of his behavior of late has been really concerning, especially as somebody who's in the LGBTQ community. That's my personal opinion, not the opinion of my company. But my company also has plenty of queer people working at it just by coincidence, and a lot of them share similar views personally to my own. That doesn't mean that I'm like anti-Tesla and anti-Elon, and that's something that I think a lot of people get very angry with in the comment section, and it makes things very depressing for me as a content creator. In fact, I have wanted to quit Transport Evolved for the last couple of months. If someone gave me a check for $1 million, I would never speak about EVs again. That's how I've been feeling about it, because of a lot of the vitriol that has been coming our way, because of our willingness to say when someone is being unpleasant, or say when we think that they are making poor choices. Whether it is poor business choices or poor life choices, we can call that out. And using your words to have an important, meaningful conversation and a meaningful discussion is very important. If I earned 250 billion, would I be the same guy? No, I might be a jerk, or perceived to be so. Money does strange things to people, doesn't it? But my father had a very interesting phrase, and those who know me know that my father passed away when I was 21, and I'm now 43. My father taught me that you always be nice to people on the way up because you meet them on the way down. It was something he said. James. Oh, what a wonderful comment. Hypocrite much. I don't fear talking about my feelings, and I can say that everybody has a tough time in life, and those who claim they don't are lying to themselves and to everybody else. Um, and so I think me saying, "Hey, I've wanted to quit in the past. Recently, I've wanted to quit. I'm not going to." But those feelings have been there. And me acknowledging them makes me a stronger person. It doesn't make me a weaker person. It doesn't make me a pussy. I I don't like vitriol. I like it. I don't think there's a place for it in this world. I think we should use words to communicate our differences and understand things. I don't think that we should necessarily use them as things to hit each other over the head with. That is just me. Um, I would love it if we could all sit down and have a grown-up conversation. Sometimes somebody says that true genius comes wrapped in an ugly package. Yeah, but you know what? There's a big difference between a genius and somebody who's not a very pleasant person. And it is still possible to be a clever and kind and engaging person. Then it is possible to engage a person and to discuss that person's good things that they've contributed to society without excusing their behavior. So let's just say if I was an amazing singer, right? And I was really famous as a singer, and I had big concerts and, filled out all of the stadiums, and I'm a multi-album award-winning person, right? And I was a particularly horrible person. I wouldn't expect people to be, I wouldn't expect that fame and fortune to continue forever, because being a diva means that eventually that will catch up with you. If somebody is unpleasant as a person, that unpleasantness will eventually catch up with them, because there's only so many people you can throw money at. You have to be kind if you want to change the world for the better. And sometimes being kind means saying things that are difficult to hear, but sometimes my goal as a creator, as a person, is to try and speak the truth as I see it. And I'm willing to be challenged. But when people just resort to name calling, not so much. And yes, someone's going to say that I said dick earlier, and that's name calling and that's derogatory. I can also be a better person, right? That's the purpose of growing. Would you buy cancer treatment from someone who is unpleasant if you were stage 4? Or would you insist they would be kinder first? Honest question. I would be campaigning for free healthcare. It's an interesting question, isn't it? An honest question is that nobody should be paying for healthcare. And I say that as someone who's lost 2 family members to cancer. I lost my sister and my father to cancer in the UK, and the NHS provided for both of them and helped them and us through a very difficult time. 2 other family members have been helped by free healthcare, have helped with chemotherapy, have helped with other things. And I don't talk about this much, but I have one person in my family who has not had cancer yet. Me. So I am very much a supporter of being kind to everybody and looking after everybody. That's my goal of the future. This totally got off the topic of the Tesla Semi real quick. Well, I'd said what I wanted to say, but there's still a lot of people watching. So I guess it's kind of funny because the internet connection is behaving itself now. But, the whole idea, it was because someone got upset when I was talking about equity. I would rather see 100,000 electric scooters on the roads of the world than a couple of big rigs. And I would rather see both. I would rather see Tesla succeed with the Semi and Daimler succeed with its e-Cascadia and Volvo succeed with its FE and all these other cool electric big rigs. I would love to see more affordable electric cars come to market, and I would much rather get everybody electrified, because if we really want to transition the world to cleaner, greener, safer, and smarter transport, we need everybody to be working together. In an ideal world, if I had the money, I would set up a charitable foundation to help train kids to become EV technicians, to encourage them to learn how EVs work, to encourage them to have a career in the industry so that they can work on these new vehicles, because that is what we need to see. Do we have any electric motorcycle reviews coming up? Not yet. We are hoping for some more. We haven't got any in the pipeline. We do have a more affordable car on loan right now that just arrived this week. I say more affordable. It starts at about 35 grand, I believe. So it's not exactly affordable, but it's better than some of the 100,000+ cars we've been doing. Good night. Yes. No, people don't push my buttons, but I will. I will talk about it. I train kids on physics and science. Yeah, that would be awesome. Great if we had more more great. How's inflation in the UK? I don't know. I don't live in the UK. So but I can tell you that the inflation in the UK right now has been caused by the Conservative government and Brexit, not by the NHS. Um, so people like drama and clicks takes them away from their own personal problems. Well, I sound like I live in the UK. So there's this really amazing thing. It's called emigration. I moved to the US a couple of years ago. 2015. So I am British Canadian by birth and American by naturalization. Go figure. My mum's Canadian, my dad was British, and I'm now technically American. I have a passport and everything, and I pay Social Security and all of that cool stuff. So there you go. That is where I feel the Tesla Semi went. Sorry, we went off the rails a bit. I had fun. I hope you had fun. But yes, Tesla Semi, I was impressed. Much better than the last Tesla event, which was just a worship at the altar of Elon Musk, which I find a real turnoff. But this one was very, very focused on things. Sometimes remind me of the boys from the other side of the pond who were some of my mentors as a kid. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I love the guy speaking about the specs and how awesome it is. The guy on the video, the Tesla video, I mean, yeah, I don't remember his name. I don't think I've seen him before at a presentation. I think it was a smart move from Tesla and Elon Musk to have someone else on stage. That was a smart move. Elon's been too busy on Twitter. He should get off Twitter. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for joining, and be better. Keep smiling. And as always, keep evolving.